Hello again, everyone. Hope you all had a great Christmas and you're all enjoying a relaxing, mellow Boxing Day. I just got done watching an Indian horror Netflix series from 2018, miniseries in fact, called Ghoul. I've admittedly been on a bit of a Bollywood kick lately with movies like Triple R and Juwan and Leo really blowing my hat off and just reminding me what it feels like to have a good time at the movies, full of lush spectacle and all sorts of flamboyant technique on full display without any shame. Ghoul is actually a good palate cleanser for all of that because it's a collaboration between American producers and Hindi producers. In fact, Blumhouse was one of the collaborating production teams on this one, and Jason Blum is in fact listed as an executive producer. So compared to the much more lush and extravagant movies that I just mentioned, Ghoul feels much more pared down, and it's lensed and edited in a much more sort of direct American fashion. But it is based on Arab folklore and set in India, so it still is peppered with enough distinction to make it feel a little bit fresh. All 3 episodes of the miniseries are written and directed by Patrick Graham, a London-born filmmaker who moved to India in 2010, thereabouts, and has apparently been pumping content out pretty steadily since then. It makes for a really good fusion of cultural sensibilities because this is one of the most effective and involving pieces of horror streaming I've viewed in a while. It's set in a dystopian future in India, and it revolves around a young recruit in the military named Nita. She's very idealistic and very faithful to the government regime, and as a military officer, she's seeking to specialize in advanced interrogation, if you know what I mean. She's posted to a covert interrogation center. They bring in a feared and notorious terrorist who, as it turns out, isn't quite as he seems and comes to reveal himself as being in the possession of the titular Ghoul. And I'll let you discover where it goes from there. What consistently impressed me across all 3 episodes of Ghoul was that it balances its human story and its horror almost perfectly and seamlessly. The human story is so lean and focused and relatable that Ghoul functions very well just as a dramatic thriller before the horror even really ramps up. The lead actress, Radhika Apte as Nita, really stands out here. She's good at conveying complex emotional responses to complex emotional situations. She's dynamic, rootable, tough, determined, and she has one scene in particular in the 3rd episode where just out of nowhere, when the series is effectively distracting you with another looming and very important question, she suddenly blindsides you with a moment of badassery that I did not see coming, but instantly elevated her to being one of my favorite horror heroines in quite some time. It was utterly unexpected and just awesome. As far as the Ghoul is concerned, the physical form it takes in some moments and the physical violence it thereby inflicts in said moments is stuff that's all familiar, but this is a case of familiar elements being arranged in a fresh way. Without saying too much, because I don't want to spoil any character revelations or the tense nature that exists between everybody in this bunker. The Ghoul's most effective and deadly moments come when it's able to turn the people against each other as it reveals shameful secrets that they're all harboring, which causes them to completely distrust each other and end up sort of tearing each other apart like the Reservoir Dogs in a haunted house. Even though this was clearly made with some limitations, this is an example of taking limitations that are actually somewhat along the lines of the limitations that were faced, and sometimes they come back for more, which I reviewed a little while back. But here, they're using those limitations to enhance the sense of claustrophobia and make it feel like this really is a tight, constrained, limited space that they are all trying to navigate while this Ghoul is at play manipulating everybody. Without spoiling anything, I'll just say that one of my favorite moments involves them bringing in this big brute of an interrogator who's by reputation sort of the ultimate badass, and they're bringing him in to try and get Saeed to talk. That's the terrorist, and this is the point where they haven't quite figured out what's going on with him as far as the Ghoul is concerned. And so they bring in this big thug to try and, beat a confession out of him. And the way it winds up, let's just say you find out how calculating, diabolical, and gleefully merciless the ghoul can be real quick. So by creating a culturally authentic human story and then building a monster mythology that plays off that at all the right moments, Patrick Graham has really created a lean little horror mini-series that absorbs you and lets you think in perfect measure. Patrick Graham has also gone on to create another Bollywood horror miniseries that's on Netflix called Betaal, and I definitely think I'm going to follow this one up with that because I enjoyed the hell out of this, start to finish. If you're a fan of lean, effective horror with some good cultural distinction, I would not pass this up for a second. Absolutely check this one out if you haven't already. Thanks as ever for watching, and I'll see you with more content really soon.